Hello, my name is Benji and welcome to Dice vs Cards. Today we continue our look at Marvel Champions with a deck building guide for Doctor Strange. We'll give you the lowdown and skinny, aka the strengths and weaknesses of the enigmatic Sorcerer Supreme, and provide you with a sample deck list to set you on the path of conquering even the most difficult of challenges, both solo or multiplayer. So as with all Marvel Champions decks, we start with the identity card and go from there. Take a good look at Stephen Strange, because the idea is that you see this side of the card as little as possible, if at all. To facilitate this, you'll be bringing a merry band of allies with you wherever you go that limit the need to rest and recover. Senor Strange's one job was to bring the Invocation deck to the table, and we thank him kindly for it. So as you can see from the hero side, success with this deck is going to revolve around synergising well with your Invocation deck. We also need a suite of allies to protect the good Doctor, and so a natural fit for this plan is the leadership aspect. This really is a deck centred around the goal of A. Staying in hero form, B. Having the maximum 3 allies out at any given time, and C. Making the best use of and cycling through the Invocation deck. Ultimately though, it's up to B and to a lesser extent C to facilitate A. So let's look at some of the cards and interactions we're looking for when playing. So ally number 1 is your sidekick Wong. This one card directly influences your ability to stay in hero form, because his ability mirrors your alter egos. Find ways to abuse Wong, in a nice way of course, and you'll be well on your way to making the most of your Invocation deck. To varying degrees, all 5 of the Invocation cards are situational, so the ability to cycle those out and or fish for the card you want is invaluable. Consider this ally in many ways to be an extension of yourself. Try your very best to keep him alive unless you have a means to bring him back, and more on that later. You've then got your other ally cards, some of which are exceptional with Recursion, such as Falcon, Maria Hill, Mockingbird and Squirrel Girl, and that's because of the glorious synergy provided by Rapid Response and Make the Call, and then by extension to that, Get Ready. You can action cheat with these cards for days, and the added bonus of Rapid Response is that it does not care about cost, bringing back those high cost allies and letting them do their thing. You then pack in a veritable who's who of predominantly well stated leadership allies, and you'll have no trouble whatsoever protecting your hero. Doctor Strange really is a hero that can stand on his own 2 feet, and doesn't need to rely on some of the typical basic and aspect staples for survivability. Cloak of Levitation provides all sorts of efficiencies. Astral Projection allows you to keep on top of threat, and Mystical Studies allows you to fetch what you need, and so on and so forth. This wouldn't be a Doctor Strange deck guide though without a look through the Invocation deck. So we start with the vanilla Winds of Watum, which lets you see more of your deck and play more and bigger things. But then we move to the slightly awkward Vapours of Valtor, which is great when you can turn the tides on a stunned or confused status that's been placed on one of your characters, but it can get stuck on top of your Invocation deck unless you have a target for it. The hope is in this instance you can cycle it with something like Wong's ability, but more counterintuitively you can target one of your allies that has tough with either confuse or stun, depending on which one will least affect that ally. A bad move on paper, but sometimes the lesser of 2 evils. We then have the great in most situations 7 Rings of Ragador, Images of Icon and Crimson Bands of Cyttorak, all of which will also act as a further means to make Vapours of Valtor useful and for you to cycle it. So there you have it. We haven't featured all of the cards that are in our sample deck, a link to which can be found below, but certainly those that have the most flavour and interactivity. If you like the idea of a Doctor Strange deck but not so much partnering it with allies and leadership, consider Protection instead, with cards like Defensive Stance, Nova and Momentum Shift bringing a more tanky version of Strange to the table. I do hope you found this guide helpful. However, let me know in the comments how you've been enjoying playing Doctor Strange, and I'll see you next time.